Hey everyone, welcome to my review. Everybody's been wanting me to do this, so some people have been asking me to do this. The fourth issue of Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers by Boom Studio. Now in case some of you don't know, long story short, Boom Studios, along with an Ian Brill, decided to resurrect the Rescue Rangers. They had success already with Darkwing Duck and I think DuckTales before that, so they decided to go with the Rescue Rangers here. And this is the fourth and final part in the worldwide rescue story arc. And I have to say, overall this story arc has been very, very good. I mean, you don't get many multi-issue story arcs, multi-issue story arcs with franchises or cartoons like this being revived that are good, but this one was indeed very good. I mean, there's not much I can really say about it. I mean, we had some appearances by characters that have made one-shot appearances, two-shot appearances, and they just worked it just worked so well in the storyline. I mean, I think one of the highlights for this was fans got to see Foxglove in issue 2, and we're going to probably find out whether she's going to play a bigger role later on or not, but people got to see her again. We saw the Pirates in there, which was pretty good. We saw Monterey Jack's parents, which was pretty good. And what was even better, though, is they actually explored a lot of the background when it came to some of the characters, like Gadget. They explored more of her background. They explored more of Monterey's background. And in this issue here, we actually got to finally see where Monterey Jack, grew up. They even introduced us to Zipper's family, and the story arc just overall worked so well. And I've heard there's another multi-issue story for them coming up. I think the word's going around. I could be wrong. Maybe people can correct me. The word going around is they might be meeting darker versions of themselves. That's the word going around. But let's get into the review, shall we? Anyway, we kind of start off with, I think, with the preview pages. Basically, we start off with Professor Fufu using his teleport device here to go around the casino and I guess cheat at some of these casino games or these blackjack games. And until Fat Cat catches him and tells him that he believes Fufu has something that belongs to him. So anyway, after that we get the Rangers on an airplane, and Dale wants to know how Chip figures it's got to be Fat Cat. And Chip basically tells him, well, I'm pretty sure we're being followed. Basically, Chip kind of tells him that he feels as though they're being followed, and that wherever they were, animals around them would get hit by the ARS. And he goes on to give examples like the spiders going after Zipper's family, the pirates after them, the bats in Brazil. But despite all that, they were never possessed by the signal, and he believes it's like some kind of bargaining chip, excuse the pun. And he goes on to explain that in the British Arctic camp he noticed some crushed security cameras, different than the ones inside. It was a small camp, and he's wondering why would they need so many cameras. And then he goes on to kind of explain why then he goes on to kind of point out the one thing that makes him believe it's Fat Cat, or makes him know it's Fat Cat, by asking the question, who uses security cameras all the time? What kind of a business? And then Gadget, realizes Chip's actually onto something, that it is indeed Fat Cat. That it was indeed Fat Cat because what Chip's saying sounds similar to Fat Cat's casino. But she also points out that the pieces to the super key were all in the original places. How else but she also, but okay, overall, basically Gadget agrees that, you know, the only other place that has so many security cameras is Fat Cat's Casino. But since all the pieces to the original super key were in the original places, how else could he have gotten in? And Chip goes on to say that I do not know, meaning that he feels Fat Cat may have another card up his sleeve. In other words, another ace to play. Now, Fat Cat confronts the professor about, you know, him having the teleport device that he feels is his. And the professor kind of tries to tell him, no, you know, it's not like that. I've been, you know, just down on my luck. And since this special project I was working on shut down. So basically he tells him that the special project he was working on is something that, instead of teleportation, it could give Fat Cat the entire world. And so Fat Cat wants to know, what do you mean? So anyway, after that we head finally to Monterey. After that we go to Australia. We finally see where Monterey grew up. He tries to see if his parents are there because this is where he left the last piece of the super key. Unfortunately, his parents aren't there. The place is ransacked, if you will, kind of messed up. He runs frantically around, and then Gadget points out a huge group of crabs that have his parents. Now, his parents, I want you to notice this. His parents are designed the same way they were in Cheddarhead Charlie's first television appearance. I can't think of the episode right now, the name of it, but they're designed the same way they were both first seen. Which means Kate is not seen the way she was in Lean on the Property or something like that. So anyway, these crabs are taking them. I don't know where they're taking them. And, you know, the Chip assures that they will save them. Zipper thinks, you know, kind of suggests, what if they use a signal? Gadget's like, no, it won't work this time. Because they don't have the electrical magnetic energy they did in the Arctic. But, and here's the one thing somebody pointed out on the Acorn Cafe. They said, but there is something they can all do. Team, let's suit up. And they literally do. They suit up. I don't know what this means or anything. But anyway, they suit up, they go after the crabs, they save Monterey's parents. They save Monterey's parents and, you know, get to higher ground. And after a quick explanation, about what's been going on, Cheddarhead Charlie hands his son the key, the final piece to the super key, saying that he was sure to grab this. Basically he said he was just glad he was able to grab it before anything happened, and that it should always belong in the family. So anyway, he gives his son the super key, tells him to go off and have his adventure. They are now at the entrance of the, I guess where the super key goes. And I like this right here. You have Gadget and Monterey looking up at the door. Gadget's like, so this is it? And Monterey's like, yeah, it is. So they enter the super key. They open the door with the super key. Great artwork right here with them shown as a team. And then they encounter Fat Cat, who I guess mockingly congratulates him for coming this far, and that they even surprised him. But then he tells them their lives and journey are now over. So as they try to go after him, he teleports out of there. And Chip finally figures out, oh, I think I now know how he's been getting into the ARS. So anyway, we go straight to the ARS, where the Rangers follow down to where the ARS is, and we see these leaders, I guess, of the animal community. We see Fat Cat kind of addressing these leaders of the animal community and showing him, and basically showing them that now that he has the control of the ARS, then nobody will be able to stop him, and that he shows them what he's talking about by having the professor launch the ARS signal at them, and thus have them turn against each other. So as well as they're enjoying the show and enjoying the Rangers basically beating each other up, I like this one part by Mo. He says, wow, she really just did that. So I guess Gadget may have kicked somebody right in the privates or something like that. I don't know. But unfortunately, they don't count on the fact that they don't take into account that Monterey's love for cheese helps him overcome the control, because basically you have Mepps about to eat his cheese, but then all of a sudden the smell is traveling right towards the Rangers, and it knocks Monterey to his senses, and it knocks him to his senses enough to where instead of eating the cheese, he kind of yells to his friends to stop. In other words, knocking them out of the stupor. Now, after the knockback into consciousness, the Rangers charge him. The Rangers charge Fat Cat, and basically get in his face for what he had done. Now, Fat Cat does teleport along with his men back in time, teleport out of there in time. Unfortunately, according to the professor, they teleport right to the last destination of where the ARS had them. So basically they're able, or at least Gadget is somehow able to shut down the ARS signal, although she doesn't know how she did it, because all she did was messing around with the controllers and she just shut it down. Well, she should switch some of the chips around and shut it down. And she basically explained she didn't know what she was doing. She was doing anything. But she says, but quietly she says, you know, something special, even if it's something buried in my mind, and kind of acknowledges her dad by saying, "You're right, Dad." So overall, they end the story with the professor's feeling he's had a great billion lifted, and that he wants to reward the Rangers by teleporting them to all the places they were at and seeing all the peace that has now been made. So overall, overall just a great issue. Let me check my time here. Okay, overall just a great issue and a great conclusion to the first, I think, of 8 issues for this comic book series. And we'll just have to see what Boom Studios has in store for them next. So overall, a great issue. Definitely check it out if you can. It's definitely worth it. And I give it a 10 out of 10 overall. 4 parts, all 4 issues were great. 10 out of 10 overall. 100 out of 100 if you want to put it that way for the overall story arc and issues. And that's all I'm going to say. Comment down below, and I'll talk to y'all later.